The bell rang, sharp and loud, cutting through the usual afternoon chatter. Mariah gripped her chalk, her knuckles white. Another day done. Almost. She smoothed her skirt, a worn but clean navy blue, and forced a tired smile at the last few children packing their bags. Being a third-grade teacher in this city was not easy. The pay was low, the hours long, and the dreams she once held felt far away. But she loved the kids. Their bright eyes, their innocent questions. They were her anchor. A small boy with dark, serious eyes stayed seated, tracing patterns on his desk. He was new. Came in just last week. Enrico. He hadn't said much, just watched everything with an old soul's quietness. Mariah found herself drawn to him, a silent plea for understanding in his gaze. He wasn't like the other boisterous kids. He seemed guarded. "Enrico," she said softly, walking over to his desk. "Your father will be here soon." He nodded, not looking up, but his small hand stilled its tracing. Mariah waited, sensing the boy's quiet anxiety. She knew little about his family. His enrollment papers were vague, filled with official-looking stamps but few personal details. His mother was not mentioned. Only a father. A powerful, unseen presence that had simply placed Enrico in her class. A shadow fell across the classroom doorway. Mariah looked up, ready to offer a polite, professional smile to Enrico's father. The smile died on her lips. Her breath hitched. The air left her lungs in a whoosh. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drum against bone. It was him. Anderson. He stood there, framed by the late afternoon light, a dark suit fitting him like a second skin. His shoulders were broader now, his jawline sharper, etched with lines of power and a cold authority that hadn't been there years ago. His hair, still midnight black, was slicked back, revealing a forehead creased with something that looked like permanent thought, or perhaps permanent worry. His eyes, though, those were the same. Dark, intense, like a storm brewing on a winter's night. But now, they held a dangerous edge, a calculating depth that sent a shiver down her spine. He was older, stronger, and utterly terrifying. A gasp almost escaped her. She bit down on her lip, tasting blood. No. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not now. After all these years of running, of hiding, of building a new life, however fragile. Enrico, sensing the shift in the room, finally looked up. He saw his father, then Mariah. His small face, usually so still, wrinkled with a touch of confusion. Anderson's gaze, which had been fixed on Enrico, now moved. Slowly. Deliberately. It swept across the classroom, dismissively taking in the bright drawings on the walls, the alphabet posters, the small, child-sized chairs. Then, it landed on her. For a long moment, the world stopped. The buzzing of the fluorescent lights, the distant city hum, the faint rustle of papers in her hand, it all faded to nothing. Only his eyes, and hers, locking together across the small space. Recognition. It flared in those dark depths. A flicker, quick as lightning, then gone, replaced by a mask of impassive calm. But she saw it. She felt it. He knew. He knew her. The air grew heavy, thick with unspoken history, with secrets she thought were buried forever. Her skin prickled. A cold dread seeped into her bones. This wasn't just Anderson, the boy she once knew, the boy she loved. This was someone else. Someone powerful. Someone dangerous. His very presence hummed with it, a quiet, controlled menace that made every instinct scream to run. She remembered the warnings, the hushed whispers, the reason she left, the reason she changed her name, her city, her entire life. And now, here he was, standing in her classroom, his son sitting just inches away. The past she had desperately tried to outrun had just walked right back in. And he had found her. Anderson's lips, full and unsmiling, parted just slightly. "Signora Rossi?" His voice was a low rumble, richer than she remembered, with an accent that was deeper, more pronounced, like aged wine. A voice that commanded attention, that left no room for argument. A voice that sent a fresh wave of panic through her. She swallowed hard, trying to find her voice. It came out as a whisper, thin and reedy. "Signor Anderson." He nodded, a slight, almost imperceptible dip of his head. "I'm here for Enrico." His eyes didn't leave hers. They burned into her, searching, demanding, silent. Her heart continued its frantic beat. Every nerve ending screamed for escape. But she was a teacher. She was in her classroom. She had to be strong. For Enrico. For herself. "Of course," she managed, her voice gaining a fraction of its usual strength. She turned to the boy, forcing a smile that felt brittle. "Enrico, your father is here." Enrico slid off his chair, gathering his backpack. He walked to Anderson, not with the eager rush of a child meeting a parent, but with a quiet, practiced obedience. He didn't hug his father. He simply stood beside him, a smaller, quieter version of the man. Anderson placed a hand on Enrico's shoulder, a possessive gesture. But his eyes never left Mariah's. The silence stretched, filled with a tension so thick it felt like something alive, humming between them. She felt exposed, vulnerable, like a deer caught in a predator's gaze. Every childhood dream, every painful memory, every secret pact they had made, flashed through her mind. He was looking at her, not as the teacher of his son, but as Mariah. The girl from the old neighborhood. The girl who knew too much. The girl who disappeared. And now she was trapped. In this classroom. With the ghost of her past. A ghost that now had the eyes of a wolf. "Thank you for your time, Signora Rossi," Anderson said, his voice smooth. Too smooth. It was a dismissal. But the message in his eyes was anything but. It was a promise. A threat. A question. He turned, Enrico silently falling into step beside him. They walked out, leaving the classroom door open. The bright, innocent space suddenly felt cold, stripped of its warmth. Mariah stood frozen, watching them go. Anderson didn't look back. But she felt his gaze, heavy and lingering, even after he disappeared from sight. The silence that followed was deafening. The scent of chalk dust and old paper felt suffocating. Mariah sank into the nearest chair, her legs suddenly weak. Her carefully constructed world, her quiet, safe existence, had just shattered. Anderson was back, and he had found her. The secret she carried, the one she swore she'd take to her grave, felt suddenly exposed, raw, and dangerous. What would he do? What did he want? The question echoed in the empty classroom, a chilling whisper. She knew Anderson. Or rather, she knew the boy he once was. But the man who had just stood before her was a stranger. A formidable, powerful stranger. And she had a horrifying suspicion that her quiet life was over. The past had finally caught up. And it had a name. Anderson. The name that once meant everything to her, now meant only one thing. Inescapable danger. Mariah spent the rest of the day in a haze. She graded papers, but her mind kept replaying the scene. Anderson. Here. Now. It felt like a bad dream. She tried to tell herself it was just a coincidence. This was a big city. People moved. But that flicker in his eyes, the way he looked at her, it was no coincidence. She remembered the last time she saw him, 15 years ago. They were just kids, young, full of dreams. Mariah, with her bright hopes of becoming an artist. Anderson with his fierce loyalty and a glint in his eye that hinted at something more. Something wilder, They grew up in the same crowded neighborhood. Their families lived in small apartments, close together. Life was hard, but they had each other. They would meet on the dusty rooftop of their building. They would talk for hours. They would watch the city lights come alive. "I'm going to get us out of here, Mariah," Anderson had promised one night. His voice was low, filled with a burning passion. "We won't live like this forever. I'll make sure of it." Mariah believed him. She saw the good in him. The way he protected his younger sister. The way he helped his aging grandmother. He was strong, kind, and he loved her fiercely. She loved him just as much. Their love was a secret garden, hidden from the harsh world around them. But even then, shadows followed Anderson. Whispers about his uncle. About family business. Mariah tried not to listen. She wanted to believe in the bright future Anderson painted for them. Then came the night everything changed. She was 16. Anderson was 18. They were sitting on their rooftop as usual. The stars were out. He had just told her about a plan. A way to get money. Fast. Too fast. "It's just one job, Mariah," he'd said, his hand gripping hers. "Then we'll have enough. We can leave this place. Start fresh. Just you and me." She looked into his intense eyes. She saw fear there, and determination. She begged him not to do it. She had a bad feeling, a cold dread. But he was set. He believed it was the only way. The next morning, the neighborhood was in chaos. Sirens wailed. Police cars blocked the streets. There had been a robbery. Something went terribly wrong. Someone was hurt. Mariah knew. Deep down, she knew it was Anderson. She ran to his apartment. His mother was crying. His sister was pale and shaking. Anderson was gone. Days turned into weeks. Mariah heard hushed conversations, rumors. Anderson was involved with dangerous people. Very dangerous people. The family business wasn't just whispers anymore. It was real. It was deadly. One night, a woman from the neighborhood, a kind older lady who had always looked out for Mariah, came to her. Her face was grim. "You need to leave, child," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "The Anderson family, they are not playing games. Anderson is deep in it, and anyone close to him, they will come for you. To make sure you don't talk. To make sure you don't know anything." The woman pressed a small envelope into Mariah's hand. It held just enough money for a bus ticket. A ticket far away. Fear, cold and absolute, gripped Mariah. She remembered Anderson's words. "You kept my secret." She understood. If she stayed, she would be a target. A weakness. A loose end. For Anderson's sake, and for her own, she had to disappear. That night, Mariah packed a small bag. She left a note for her family, vague and tear-filled, promising to write. She walked away from everything she knew. From her home, from her dreams, from Anderson. She didn't look back. She couldn't. She changed her name. Mariah Rossi. It felt strange at first, like wearing someone else's skin. She moved to a city where no one knew her. A city where the shadows of her past couldn't reach. She worked hard. She put herself through college. She became a teacher. She built a quiet, anonymous life. A life without danger. A life without Anderson. She learned to live with the ghosts, the what-ifs, the ache in her heart for the boy she had lost. She buried the memories deep. She built walls around her heart. She told herself she was safe. Until today. The sound of the school door closing, a dull thud, startled her. She was alone in the classroom. The fluorescent lights hummed. The city outside grew darker. Anderson was not just a ghost anymore. He was real. He was here. And he had found her. She had kept his secret. For 15 years, she had carried it. Now, The weight of it pressed down on her. What did he want? Why was he here? And what would happen if the truth came out? The questions spun in her head, endless and terrifying. Her safe, quiet life. Was it truly gone? She had a horrifying feeling the answer was yes. Her new name, her new identity. They meant nothing now. Not to him. He knew her. He remembered. And that was a danger she wasn't sure she could escape. The next morning, Mariah walked into her classroom with a knot in her stomach. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow seemed to hold Anderson's imposing figure. She tried to focus on her students, on the simple routine of lessons and laughter. But it was impossible. Enrico arrived, quiet as ever. He sat at his desk, his small shoulders hunched. Mariah watched him, a pang of sympathy hitting her. He was just a child caught in the middle of a world she had tried so desperately to leave. During recess, Mariah found herself observing Enrico more closely. He didn't play with the other children. He sat by himself, drawing in a small notebook. His drawings were surprisingly skilled for a boy his age. Dark, intricate patterns, buildings with high walls, and always, in the corner, a small bird-like figure, caged. "Enrico," Mariah said, kneeling beside him, "what are you drawing?" He looked up, his dark eyes wide. He hesitated, then showed her the page. It was a sprawling drawing of what looked like a grand old house, but it was surrounded by heavy gates, and inside, a small figure sat alone. The bird, she realized, was him. "This is my house," he whispered. "It's very big, but I'm often alone." Mariah's heart ached for him. She saw the loneliness in his eyes, a reflection of the isolation she herself had felt for so long. She imagined Anderson, a man now likely consumed by power and ambition, perhaps too busy to truly see his son. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up outside the school gates. It wasn't the usual parent pickup. This car was expensive. Dark windows, a driver in a sharp suit. It stood out, and Mariah knew, instantly, who it was. Her breath caught. Anderson. He stepped out of the car. He didn't look at the school. He looked directly at her. His gaze, even from that distance, felt like a physical touch, a demand. Mariah felt a surge of fear, quickly followed by a strange, defiant anger. He had no right to disturb her peace. No right to bring his dangerous world back into her life. Especially not through an innocent child. She stood up, tall and straight, forcing herself to meet his gaze. She wasn't that scared girl anymore. She was Mariah Rossi, a teacher. She had built something here. She wouldn't let him shatter it. Anderson walked towards the school entrance. His pace was slow, deliberate. Every step exuded power. Other parents, picking up their children, seemed to part for him without even realizing why. They sensed the quiet authority he carried. He stopped a few feet from her, just outside the classroom door. Enrico, sensing his father, slowly put away his notebook. "Signora Rossi," Anderson said, his voice low. It was polite, but there was an edge to it, a steel beneath the calm. "May I speak with you for a moment?" Mariah's mind raced. What did he want? Was this about Enrico? Or was it about them? "Of course, Signor Anderson," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. She led him to a small, empty corner of the school hallway, away from the prying eyes and ears of other parents. "Is there a problem with Enrico?" she asked, trying to keep her voice neutral. She folded her arms, trying to project an air of calm authority. Anderson's eyes studied her. They lingered on her face, on her hair, on her posture. It felt like he was memorizing every detail, comparing her to the girl he remembered. "Enrico is fine," he said, his voice softening just a fraction when he spoke of his son. "He seems to like your class very much." He speaks of you. A faint trace of surprise colored his tone. Mariah raised an eyebrow. He's a good boy, Senior Anderson. Very quiet, but bright. Anderson nodded slowly. I know. He paused. The silence stretched again, thick with unspoken thoughts. That's not why I'm here. Her heart skipped a beat. She knew it. This wasn't about Enrico. It was about her. Then why are you here, Anderson? The name slipped out, raw and unbidden. She instantly regretted it. His eyes, dark as midnight, sharpened. A ghost of a smile, cold and humorless, touched his lips. You remember, he said. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of power. I remember a lot of things, Mariah countered, trying to sound brave. Things I thought were long buried. Anderson leaned closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. There are some things that can never be buried, Mariah. Some secrets, some loyalties. He paused, letting his words hang in the air. The weight of them was suffocating. She felt a chill run down her spine. He was not just speaking of their shared past. He was speaking of his world. A world of secrets. A world of loyalties. A world she had fled. You left, he stated, not accusingly, but with a stark finality. Without a word, you vanished. I had to, she whispered, her resolve crumbling slightly. You know why. His eyes held hers, intense, unyielding. Do I? He asked. The question hung heavy between them, full of unspoken history, full of dangerous implications. He was not letting this go. Not now. Not ever. Mariah swallowed hard. She looked at Anderson, seeing not just the dangerous man before her, but the shadow of the boy he once was. Yes, Anderson, you know why, she repeated, her voice firmer this time. The whispers, the warnings, the danger you were getting into, the day after, the incident. I was told to leave, for my own safety, and for yours. Anderson's gaze remained steady, unblinking. By whom? He asked, his voice flat. It doesn't matter, Mariah said, shaking her head. What matters is what was happening. The Anderson name became something else. Something terrifying. People disappeared. People got hurt. I was just a girl. I was scared. I was told that if I stayed, I'd be a target. A weakness. A loose end for your enemies. She almost spat the words, the old fear and resentment rising up. A muscle in Anderson's jaw tightened. So you ran, he said, the words slow and deliberate. You left without a trace, without a goodbye. You let me believe you were gone forever. A flicker of something, pain, crossed his features, so quick she almost missed it. What was I supposed to do, Anderson? She asked, her voice rising slightly. Stay and become another victim? Another body in the street? You were gone. You disappeared. I had no way to find you, no way to know if you were even alive. The accusation hung in the air, heavy with years of unspoken grief. Anderson took a step closer. His presence was overwhelming. I was dealing with things, Mariah, he said, his voice now a low growl. Things you couldn't possibly understand. I was cleaning up a mess that wasn't mine, protecting what little was left of my family. His eyes burned with a dark fire. And when I came back, when I was finally able to look for you, you were gone. It was like you never existed. Mariah felt tears sting her eyes. And I thought the same about you. I mourned you, Anderson. I thought you were dead. Her voice broke on the last word. The raw pain of that time, the grief she had carried, flooded her. He reached out, as if to touch her, then stopped himself. His hand clenched into a fist at his side. I survived, he said, his voice rough. And I built something solid, something that no one can take away from me. For my family. For Enrico. He glanced towards the door where Enrico was still waiting, quietly, patiently. "And what about me, Anderson?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "What about the life I built? The safety I found? You just walked back in and shattered it all." "Shattered it?" he scoffed, a dark laugh escaping him. "Or did I remind you of what you really are? Who you really are? You think you can escape your past? You think you can change your name and erase everything that happened?" His words hit her like a physical blow. She felt a deep resentment stir. "I changed my name to survive, Anderson, to have a chance at a normal life, a life away from all of this." She gestured vaguely towards him, towards the unspoken dangers he carried. Anderson's eyes narrowed. "And now you are a teacher. A good one, Enrico tells me. He needs you, Mariah." The shift in his tone surprised her. "What are you saying?" she asked, wary. He leaned in again, his voice dropping to a near whisper, filled with a gravity that sent a chill through her. "I'm saying, this city is mine now. This school, this neighborhood, all of it. And you are here." His eyes held hers, a silent, powerful demand. "Enrico is my son. He is alone, Mariah. He needs a steady hand, a kind heart." He paused, his gaze intensifying. "He needs you." Mariah stared at him, bewildered. He wasn't threatening her directly. He was laying claim, not just to the territory, but to her presence in his son's life. "You can't just demand that," she finally managed, her voice weak. "I can," Anderson said simply, his eyes radiating an unshakable resolve. "And I am. But I'm not just demanding. I'm offering protection, security, a place in my world, Mariah. A world where you will never be afraid again. A world where you will never have to run." The words were tempting, a dark promise whispered from a dangerous man. The idea of never running again, of feeling truly safe. It was a dream she had secretly held onto for years. But the price of entering his world. "What is the price, Anderson?" she asked, her voice barely audible. His lips curved into that cold, humorless smile again. "The price, Mariah, is that you stay. You become a part of our lives. You teach Enrico. You protect him. And you keep my secret." His gaze burned into her, reminding her of the unspoken pact from all those years ago. The secret of what I do, the secret of who I am, and the secret of who we once were. The open loop of their shared past, the mysteries of his power, the vulnerable child, it all pressed in on her. She was being pulled into his orbit, into a world she had sworn to leave behind. And a part of her, a foolish, forgotten part, felt a strange pull towards the dangerous protector he had become. Her quiet, safe life was gone. Now she faced a choice: flee again, or face the storm, and perhaps find a new kind of protection within its eye. Mariah stared at him, her mind reeling. The air around them felt charged, thick with the weight of his offer, his unspoken threats, and the ghosts of their shared past. "You want me to just accept this?" she asked, her voice laced with disbelief. "After all these years, you think I can just forget everything and walk back into your world?" Anderson's expression remained unreadable. "You never truly left it, Mariah. Did you really believe you could?" His eyes softened, just a fraction. "Every path leads back home, eventually. And your home, a part of it, was always with me. With us." He gestured vaguely to the street, to the city that was now his domain. The words struck a chord, a painful truth. No matter how far she ran, a part of her heart had always remained tethered to the fierce boy who had promised her the world. And now, that boy, transformed into a powerful man, was offering her a different kind of world. A protected one, but at what cost? And what about Enrico? Mariah asked, her gaze flicking to the quiet boy. What does he know of your world? Anderson's face tightened, a shadow falling over his features. Nothing. He knows nothing, and it will stay that way. He is innocent. He will remain innocent. That is my promise to him. To you. His voice held a rare vulnerability, a glimpse into the father beneath the formidable exterior. He needs stability. He needs a presence that is good. That is why I chose this school. That is why I want you. A sense of responsibility, heavy and undeniable, settled over Mariah. Enrico, his quiet sadness, his caged bird drawings. She couldn't abandon him. She couldn't abandon the only connection she had to the innocent part of Anderson. And if I say no? She asked, testing the boundaries. Anderson's eyes hardened again, the softness gone. Then you leave. Again. And this time, you leave knowing you abandoned a child who needs you. You leave knowing you abandoned the only person who ever truly cared for him. And you leave knowing that you would be making a very powerful enemy. His voice was low, devoid of emotion, but the threat was clear, cold as ice. Mariah shivered. The choice was no choice at all. She was trapped. Trapped by her past, by her empathy for Enrico, and by the sheer, undeniable power of Anderson. She closed her eyes for a moment, picturing the quiet rooftop, the stars, Anderson's young, earnest face, the promises, the dreams, and then the fear, the running, the lonely years. She opened her eyes and met his gaze. Resignation mingled with a flicker of defiance. I'll stay, she said, her voice barely a whisper. For Enrico. Anderson's lips curved into a slow, subtle smile. Not the cold, humorless one, but something deeper, something that held a hint of triumph, and perhaps a touch of something else she couldn't quite place. Relief? Possession? Good, he said, the single word loaded with meaning. Then we have an understanding. He extended a hand, not in a friendly gesture, but as a seal to a dangerous pact. Mariah hesitated, then slowly took it. His hand was warm, strong, calloused. The touch sent a jolt through her, a memory of a time when that hand had held hers with tenderness, not with a promise of protection and control. His grip was firm, unwavering. It was a handshake that bound her to him, to his world, to his son, and to the perilous secret they now shared. As he finally released her hand, Anderson looked towards Enrico, who was now slowly walking towards them. I'll arrange for a car to pick Enrico up from school every day, he said, his voice back to its authoritative tone. And if you need anything at all, you will contact me directly. He pulled out a small, sleek card. It was black, with silver lettering, bearing only a name and a phone number. Anderson. No title. No company. Just the name. A name that now held more weight than any title. Mariah took the card, her fingers brushing his. It felt heavy in her hand, a tangible link to the dangerous life she was now reluctantly re-entering. Enrico reached them. He looked up at his father, then at Mariah, his small face still and watchful. Papa, he said, his voice soft. Anderson placed a hand on his son's head. Ready to go, Figlio? Enrico nodded. He looked at Mariah, and for the first time, a small, genuine smile touched his lips. Bye, Signora Rossi. Goodbye, Enrico, Mariah said, a warmth spreading through her despite the cold fear. His smile was a fragile light in the deepening shadows. It was for him. For this innocent child, she would face the storm. She would re-enter Anderson's dangerous world. She would keep his secret. And perhaps, just perhaps, in protecting Enrico, she might find a way to protect herself, and perhaps even to understand the man Anderson had become. the powerful, dangerous man who still held a piece of her past, and now, a piece of her future. This story pulls us into a world where past loves collide with dangerous present realities, where secrets can resurface with life-altering consequences. Mariah's choice, born of fear and a deep sense of protection, shows us how far we're willing to go for those who need us, even when it means stepping back into the shadow of a forgotten love. What would you have done in Mariah's shoes? Would you have stayed and faced the past? Or would you have chosen to run again, sacrificing a chance to help an innocent child? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights help us build a community of story lovers. If this tale of impossible choices and dangerous romance resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more gripping stories. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. And give this video a like if you were rooting for Mariah and Enrico. Your support means the world to us.